Yo, what's up? It's your boy William, back again to talk about giant fucking robots. Want to start off by thanking all of the people who watched, liked, and subscribed based on our All Suits from Mobile Fighter G Gundam video. You've made this Gundam fan very happy, and we here at the webinar want you to know that there are many more Gundam projects in the pipeline. One last major thank you to Kevin Williams. It will never be forgotten that your suggestion is what set the events in motion that allowed us to go viral for the very first time.
You the real MVP.
Being a super fan of the series and wanting to satisfy my all-consuming need to be thorough, the beginning seemed like a great place to pick up with the second installment in this series. So, this video's topic will be the very first Mobile Suit Gundam, which was made way back in 1979. If you're looking for a summary of the story, you will be able to find that in our review of the movie trilogy, or if you're looking for technical breakdowns, check out some of our rankings. In this video, we will only be listing each mobile weapon that appears in the anime A through Z separated by faction. So what is a mobile weapon? Mobile weapons are defined by the Gundam Wiki as, quote, vehicles that incorporate technology found in mobile suits as opposed to conventional vehicles such as tanks, planes, and ships. The term can be used to describe any vehicle fitting that definition, such as mobile suits or mobile armors, but is typically only used when referring to more than one type simultaneously, or when it is difficult to label a vehicle as a specific subtype. So basically, we will be listing everything that is not a tank, plane, or ship unless it uses mobile suit technology. With all of that behind us, let's get into this list. Earth Federation Forces. Kicking things off, we have the RB-79 ball. Fast, maneuverable, and plentiful, this weapon saw more use than any other for the Federation. It was nicknamed the Mobile Coffin, and it was often joked that the only way a ball could hit anything was when it was kicked into a GM by a Zaku. So it's safe to say that anyone who piloted one had to have some balls. Moving on to the first of the G series, we have the G Armor, the result of combining the Gundam with both the A parts and the B parts of the G Fighter. This weapon served mainly as a way to transport and drop the Gundam outside of the White Base, but it was still capable of dogfighting, thus making it ideal for infiltration and hit-and-run tactics. Pretty damn impressive considering it has literal tank treads. Next up in the series of G is the G-Bull and its variant, the G-Bull Easy. This configuration is achieved by combining the FF-X7 core fighter, the upper body of the Gundam, and the A parts of the G-Fighter. The G-Bull Easy variant is created by combining the G-Fighter's A parts with the FF-X7 core fighter or the Gundam. This weapon functions as a heavy tank, and its high weight often precludes it from being fielded in certain types of terrain, proving that there may actually be something such as too thick. Shifting focus to the main piece of the G series, we have the G Fighter. Developed to support, transport, and interface with the Gundam, this mobile weapon is able to combine with the Gundam in various ways, as you have already seen. This mobile weapon and all of its modular parts were reportedly forced onto Yoshiyuki Tomino by the anime's main financier, Clover Toys, and all of which were cut from the 3-part movie re-edit. Take that, product placement! Modulating our way over to the final variations of the G series, we have the G Sky and G Sky Easy. The former results from combining the FF-X7 core fighter, the lower body of the Gundam, and the B parts, while the latter is composed of the FF-X7 core fighter and the B parts of the G fighter. Mainly used as a high-speed, long-range fighter-bomber, this weapon was the basis for the FF-X7-BST core booster, which ultimately replaced the G-Fighter and all of its iterations in the movie trilogy. Mass-producing our way to the next entry, we find the RGM-79 Jim. The basic bitch version of the Gundam, this unit not only overtook the Ball as the Federation's main infantry unit, but it outperformed most of the Zeon suits that preceded it. This model was the basis for the RGM series, which would serve as the Federation's main mass production mobile suit family until the Federation was no more. Good enough, Jim. Up next, we have the RX-77-2 gun cannon. One of 3 mobile weapons developed under the V project, this suit is a middle-range support unit outfitted with the best equipment the Feddies had to offer. Slower, more heavily armed, and equipped with better sensors than its more famous sister suit, this was a necessary part of a winning team, despite being piloted by one of the most insufferable douche lords in the entire series. This time around, we finally come to the mobile suit that started it all. The one that all future badass robots and titular mechas in the series take their surname, the RX-78-2 Gundam. Easily the most famous member of the V project, this mobile suit haunted the dreams of every Zeon soldier from the lowliest of grunts to the zombie family. The Gundam was capable of being combined with B parts from the G Fighter to form the Gundam Sky, which is ridiculous and fucking awesome. Boasting an impressive amount of weaponry, this was easily the most powerful machine of its era due in large part to its teenage psychic pilot. Wrapping up the Federation's weapons, we have the RX-75-4 gun tank. The first and thickest member of Project V Squad, this mobile suit functioned as a heavy artillery ground assault unit. Originally intended to be piloted by 2, it was eventually modified to be piloted by 1 in the anime and outright decommissioned after Jaburo in the movie adaptation. This unit would go on to be mass-produced and would see further development in spite of its rather limited melee capabilities. Principality of Zeon! Leading off for the Principality, we have the original Kawaii mobile suit, the MSM-04 Ekgai. Generally considered to be the only Moe mobile suit that wasn't intentionally designed to be so, this thing is actually one of the largest mobile suits of its era, and not something that I would personally consider to be cute and endearing, but it could always be worse. Next up is the first mobile armor on this list, which is also the first mobile armor, the MAX-03 Adzan. Yet another goofy and endearing design, this machine pioneered several types of technology, including the Minovsky craft system, and was quite powerful, but like many others before it and after it, it was not tough enough to outlast that pesky White Devil. Speeding our way on over to the next entry, we find the MA-05 Bigro. One of the fastest things in its era, this mobile armor was the very first space-use mobile armor ever completed. It saw extensive use during the One-Year War and would even see some use by the Federation after the war was over. The Bigro would also go on to be developed into all sorts of weird and interesting mobile armor. Up next is a literal war machine, the MA-08 Big Zam. One of the biggest and most frighteningly powerful things to see combat in the first anime, this hefty boy may as well have been just one big walking cannon. It was designed with the intent of taking a unit of them to Earth to literally just vaporize the Federation's main headquarters. Too bad it couldn't operate for longer than 20 minutes without overheating, or maybe that would have actually worked. Moving from super hefty to the heaviest thing in the anime, we set our sights on the MAN-03 Braubro. Weighing in at 2,602.6 tons, which equals an astonishing 5,737,750.84 pounds.
That's a huge bitch!
This mobile armor is, to my knowledge, the second largest mobile armor in terms of weight in the entire Gundam universe. It is also the first mobile armor made specifically for new types, and it makes use of some rather intuitive and inventive technology. Next up is the ever-dependable MS-09 Dom and MS-09R Rick Dom. One of Zeon's mainstays, this mobile suit started as a ground assault unit that was converted to Zeon's main space unit after Zeon lost its foothold on Earth. Modeled after kendo gear, the Dom was a unique and very important mobile suit which was capable of using the vast majority of weapons that Zeon had developed for mobile suits. Moving on to the next entry, we have the MAN-09 Elmeth, the personal mobile armor of a really spaced out Indian chick with freakish eyes. This weapon pioneered the usage of bits, which are psychically controlled mini beam cannons guided by the pilot's thoughts and the Psychomu system that is interpreting them. This type of technology would go on to be used by new types to create untold destruction on many battlefields of the future. Oh, and it also kind of looks like a tricorn hat. Shifting focus, we come to the last mass production model for Zeon, the MS-14A Gelgoog. This high-performance mobile suit was developed as an answer to the Federation's all-powerful Gundam, and in fact was capable of matching or slightly exceeding it in performance. It was the first Zeon mobile suit to make full use of beam weaponry, but it was too little too late. Only 738 were produced, with a scant 67 in the field at Abawaku, and even worse, most of the pilots were inexperienced and/or fresh out of training. Back to the water we go with the next entry, the MSM-03 GOG, the very first successful amphibious mobile suit ever fielded. This bad boy was also the first mobile suit to incorporate megaparticle weaponry that was built directly into the body. Unfortunately for the GOG, it was only able to operate outside of the water for less than 2 hours before becoming hotter than Karen Gillan, and overheating to the point of meltdown. It is also worthy of noting that the GOG was the basis for almost all other amphibious mobile suits that came after it. Up next is no mere Zaku, my boy. It's the MS-07B Goof. Designed as an Earth-based close-quarters combat mobile suit, this mecha was a terror for a short period of time. Made famous by the ever-indomitable Ramba Rao and his unit, the Goof's life was brief but glorious, before being replaced by the MS-09B Dom due to the Dom being much more cost-effective and powerful. Taking another dive into the depths for our next entry, we find the MAM-07 Grublo. The only aquatic mobile armor in this anime, it is essentially an underwater version of the MA-05 Bigro with some minor differences. Remaining a prototype for its entire career, only 3 were ever produced, with only a single unit making its way into this anime. Considering the Federation's lack of underwater options, it makes one wonder what Zeon may have been able to accomplish if this mobile armor was mass-produced. Moving on to the next entry, we find the YMS-15 Yon, the only mobile suit whose head resembles a pickelhaube. This mech and its pilot hold a strange distinction of being only in the anime and not in the compilation movies. Entirely prototypical, this suit was designed for close-quarters combat and was equipped with a beam sword that was incredibly powerful. It came complete with a special cylindrical unit in its crotch area called a field pulse accelerator that made it move faster on foot. Shifting focus back to the aquatic domain, we find the MSM-07 Zagok. Easily the most successful of all of Zeon's amphibious mobile suits, the Zagok was the only one to get its own commander variant, which was piloted by the likes of Sha himself. Designed primarily for ground combat, and with the ability to perform anti-air maneuvers, this mobile suit was highly capable and could outperform most any other suit the Fedis had, but at the cost of being highly difficult to pilot and with an incredibly high manufacturing cost. Moving on to the next entry, we have the MA-04X Zacrello. This mobile armor, whose name makes me think of the zombies from Resident Evil 4, was entirely experimental and one of the earliest ever produced. To go along with its horrifying looks, it was horrifyingly powerful and armed to the teeth, literally. Despite its high power and high rate of speed, the Zacrello was severely lacking in agility and was thus an easy target for that pesky psychic teenager. Taking it all the way back to the literal OG, we have the MS-05B Zaku 1. No, not the Zaku 2, but its papa. This was the very first mobile suit to ever be assigned to a combat unit, and thus ushered in a new generation of warfare. Due to being an emergent technology, the MS-05B was plagued with technical issues and was quickly replaced, which rendered it obsolete almost instantly. Setting our sights on what is arguably the most famous and highly used mobile suit across the entire anime franchise, save for the Gundam itself, we find the MS-06F Zaku 2. The upgraded and much more well-designed offspring of the Zaku 1, this machine was an absolute workhorse and would stay in use for decades after the One-Year War was over. Not particularly known for its strength or speed, the Zaku 2's best ability was its availability, and as such, it may be the best cannon fodder ever made. One last trip into the psychic realm of new types we take to find the next entry, the MSN-02 Zeon. This prototype mobile suit was only 80% complete when it saw the field, and it did not have the legs it was intended to have, but it was still 100% combat effective. The Zeon was the first mobile suit to successfully use the Psychomu system. It featured a mammoth amount of destructive power and an incredibly high degree of mobility in spite of its unusually large size. Moving on to the final entry of this list, we come to a mobile suit that is as fearsome as it looks, the MSM-10 Zok. Truly a unique mobile suit, the Zok is more of a floating mobile gun platform as its legs are immobile, and it houses 8 megaparticle cannons with one large phonon maser gun on its head. It was entirely experimental, with only 3 being produced and 1 being shown in the anime. It did give us one of the best memes in all of Gundam history though, and for that I am thankful. Well, that's it and that's all. Thank you for watching all mobile weapons from Mobile Suit Gundam listed by faction A through Z. If you like this video, drop a like and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this in the future. If you want to see us list mobile weapons from other Gundam series or have some thoughts you'd like to share, please drop a comment below. See you next time in the next video.
All right, soldier. Looks like the stupid-ass Fetties fell for another one of our brilliant tricks. Listen, don't say anything.
Why?
Your accent. Oh, okay. Can you believe they fell for this? Oh yeah, they stupid. Ha 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 ha.